pasta. Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Nikki. In today's video, we're talking all about sauces and seasonings on a weight loss journey. When I first started my weight loss back in 2020, one thing that I did not want to give up was sauces and also flavorful food. So I've learned to incorporate a lot of different sauces and toppings, as well as different seasoning mixes to make sure that my food is still flavorful, satisfying, and it just satisfies those cravings that I've always had. If you enjoy this video or find it helpful, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Today I'm going to be walking through a bunch of different sauces that I incorporate. See how many times I say the word sauces in this video because I feel like it's gonna keep coming up, but I'm going to be going through them and giving the points on Weight Watchers and just talking about how I use them and incorporate them. And then I'm also going to go through some different seasonings. You guys will see my seasoning drawer back here that I just love so much. So I'll again talk through those and how I use each item. Let's go ahead and get started with the sauces first. And I'm really not gonna be going through these in any particular order. I just made a list of all the most used sauces I have. I went through my fridge and pretty much grabbed all of them, and I'm going to be discussing them now. I guess one of my favorite finds on my weight loss journey that I've just enjoyed over the years is definitely the brand Bolthouse and their different dressings. Ranch is one of my all-time favorite sauces ever. I put it on so many different things, and when I started Weight Watchers, I scanned the ranch that I would usually use, and it was like 4 to 5 points for the serving, sometimes even more. I knew I needed to find a lower point option that I wanted to be able to incorporate, and that's when I found Bolthouse dressings. So specifically the classic ranch has always been one of my favorites. They've released a bunch of different types of ranch. I feel like they've kind of scaled back now, but they have a spicy ranch that's really good. My favorite was always the barbecue one, but they got rid of that. But they do have some really good dressing options. They're 2 points for 2 tablespoons. There have been a couple that were only 1 point. I don't know exactly which ones. I feel like the blue cheese dressing was only 1 for 2. But for 2 tablespoons, it's 2 points and 50 calories. It does have 3 carbs, 2 grams of sugar, and 1 gram of protein in that. And then another one that I really like from them, this is just another one that I have right now. They also have like balsamic. I'll put a picture on the screen. I've pretty much gotten every single one of them and repurchased them as well because I haven't found one that I didn't like. But this is their creamy Caesar, also 2 points for 2 tablespoons, and works so well for Caesar salads and chicken Caesar wraps. This is one that when I'm craving it, I will buy it and go through it pretty quickly. It's almost halfway gone. But these are just nice salad dressing options, or if I want to dip my pizza in ranch or just need ranch for something. You can also mix things into this one. So Adam likes to do a buffalo ranch. He'll add his buffalo sauce, which I am including today. This has been his go-to from the start. It's got a little clearance sticker on it, but it's the Sweet Baby Ray's buffalo wing sauce. This one's 0 points for the tablespoon, but if you have any more, it's a point. But it's 20 calories for that serving, and he just really likes this for literally everything. Whenever I do any type of like barbecue recipe or buffalo recipe, this is the buffalo sauce I use for like buffalo chicken, whether it's pizza bakes or wraps or even just buffalo chicken dip. Usually the Sweet Baby Ray's is the brand he buys, although he did just try another one in a snack review that he's really been enjoying. That's the brand Wing Time, so that's another good lower point option. In my opinion, that one was a little more like tomatoey flavored. This one has a little bit more of like a vinegar taste to it. Then speaking of barbecue sauce, I actually don't have my favorite one here. The one that I've used the most throughout my weight loss journey has been the Sweet Baby Ray's no sugar added barbecue sauce, and they've got a few different flavors. This one's the original, but they also have a like hickory and a spicy one. I really like this one, although I do taste a slight bit of artificial sweetener in it, and I feel like that's why it's not my favorite. My new favorite is actually from this brand. I have a different sauce of theirs right now. The brand is Noble Made, and they also make a barbecue sauce. I can pop the picture of it on the screen, but that one, flavor-wise and everything, has become my all-time favorite. What's nice about this one is that it is 0 points on Weight Watchers. There isn't any added sugar, but I think the Noble Made, depending on the serving I use, usually it's 0 points unless I use a lot of it, but they also have some other sauces. This garlic parmesan we tried, and we actually really enjoyed this one as well. And this one is 1 point for 1 tablespoon. It works really nicely as like a garlic parm wing sauce, like the Buffalo Wild Wings. When you scan the Buffalo Wild Wings one, it is much higher point. Okay, next up, this is one of my most used sauces, and that is the Taco Bell mild sauce. So they sell the bottles like these at Walmart. They've got up to like hot and Diablo, but mild is always my favorite. It adds the perfect amount of flavor with no spice, and it's 0 points, 0 calories. So a lot of the times I just like to drizzle it onto nachos or taco bowls, or whenever I'm making copycat Taco Bell at home, which is kind of frequent, it's nice to just have this because it makes it taste just like Taco Bell. And actually there's a whole section of different Taco Bell products at the store. They've got some other sauces, and this is another one of my favorites. It's their medium salsa con queso. So this one is a little higher. It's 3 points for the serving of 2 tablespoons and 90 calories. It's got 7 grams of fat, 4 carbs, 3 grams of sugar, and 3 grams of protein, but I love the flavor of this. It really is similar to Taco Bell. And a while back, I used to always buy the Trader Joe's queso because it was only 1 point for 2 tablespoons, and I just loved it so much, but they discontinued it, and since then I found a bunch of different other queso sauces that I like. There's also one from Aldi that's pretty good, but this one is a little higher in point, but kind of worth it to just incorporate every now and then, especially when I'm making those copycat meals that I mentioned, because if I went to Taco Bell and got it, I'm not controlling the portions or anything. In this way, I can just have it here. I usually add more protein with more taco meat or whatever, more veggies, and it's just more fresh at home. But this helps to make it more like Taco Bell. I like this queso, and they've got a few other products. They've got their Mexican pizza sauce and some other things like that. I really recommend those if you're trying to do some copycat meals at home. Another taco type sauce that I really like, this is from Trader Joe's, and it's just their enchilada sauce. This one is nice because you can use a decent amount for just 1 point. You can have 2 servings, but the serving is a 1/4 cup. It's 30 calories for that, 1.5 grams of fat and 4 carbs, and it's got 1 gram of protein, but it's just a pretty basic enchilada sauce, not too spicy or anything, and I usually use it for that exactly whenever I do like taco bakes or enchilada bakes in the oven. This is like the perfect sauce to top it with, and then you put some cheese on top and it is delicious. So that's what I use this for most, because we do a lot of like taco enchilada bakes like that, and so that's why I always grab this from Trader Joe's. Okay, another staple thing that I just always have in my fridge is some light mayo, and I've tried a couple different brands. This is the Great Value brand. I find that it's fine for the flavor. There was one that I really didn't like, and I feel like it was from like Whole Foods or something, but I usually just like to have light mayo on hand for egg salad, chicken salad, tuna salad. Sometimes I'll add just a little bit in, maybe like a point, because for 1 tablespoon, it's 1 point on Weight Watchers. I don't always use it all the time though, because there are many times where I'll use some Greek yogurt, or sometimes I just do a mixture of both. I feel like this gives the flavor, but this gives some creaminess without adding a bunch of extra points. It's a staple item for sandwiches, or even when I make sauces. Sometimes when I do a Reuben recipe, I'll mix some ketchup, mayo, chopped pickles, onion, salt, all of that to make a sauce, and that's where this mayo is nice. I like to have it to make sauces and just use as an ingredient, but very much in moderation, and it's just one of those staple items I like to have. I did include this Greek yogurt just because there are some times where I like to make sauces out of it. Sometimes I'll buy like the spicy ranch packet and mix it in, and then you can even add some ranch to it to make it runnier and more like the sauce that I'm trying to make with it. But this is 0 points on Weight Watchers, and it really is nice to make lower point sauces that maybe even have a little extra protein, because it does have 16 grams of protein for 3/4 cup. I don't usually use that much when I make the sauces, but still, it's just a nice option. And the Chobani brand, the fat-free one, has become my favorite and my go-to for years now. I have been on such a sriracha kick lately, and specifically the regular sriracha, so I just bought this. I've got 2 here. This one is the sriracha from Trader Joe's, and the reason I get this is because I really like the flavor, but it has like no spice to it. This one, on the other hand, is very spicy. This is just like the classic sriracha. It is hot for sure. Both of them are 0 points, unless you use, I think it's like a tablespoon and a half, then I think it becomes a point, but I don't think I've ever used that much because I really just can't handle the spice. My favorite thing to use this for is definitely eggs, but it's also nice if I'm making like mac and cheese. Whenever I used to get Noodles & Company years ago, I would get the chicken mac and cheese and put so much sriracha on it, and it just adds good flavor and spice. I have both of these options. Like I said, the Trader Joe's one is not spicy, but it has good flavor, and then this one when I want spice, which isn't very often, but for some reason lately I've been craving this specific flavor. But both are nice to just add some flavor to meals. I also use a good amount of soy sauce when I'm cooking, so if I'm doing fried rice or sesame noodles or just any like copycat Chinese food at home, it's nice to have some soy sauce, and I usually just buy the low sodium option because honestly I prefer the flavor. I find that the regular one is a little bit too salty and too much sometimes. I do get this, it's just the Great Value brand, and it's 0 points on Weight Watchers. Sometimes I'll also get coconut aminos. These aren't nearly as like salty tasting, and they have a little bit of a different flavor, but they really do work well as a soy sauce substitute if you don't want to use this. So I just got this from Trader Joe's, but both of them work pretty well for rice, noodles, all that stuff. Okay, this one is something I've been getting more recently. I don't know why I've been craving just like refreshing salads as just like a side salad with my meal. With that, I really like this Olive Garden light Italian dressing. It's only 1 point for 2 tablespoons, which honestly, I feel like I just use like a tablespoon and it's perfect because it has such good flavor and it's kind of got like a, not like sourness to it, but the same way Italian dressing just has like that bite to it. So I almost don't like to do too much, but it's really nice for salads with croutons, tomatoes, cucumbers, all that. And I feel like that's mostly what I use this for, although it does work well as a marinade for chicken if you want to try that. But it's a nice lower point option for dressings and it's just the actual Olive Garden brand. Okay, something I always have on hand is tomato sauce. This is just from Trader Joe's, and what I do with this is I'll just open the can and then add some different seasonings, which we'll get to those soon, but I mix those in with it and then maybe I'll even add like fresh basil or something, and then it's just a really quick and easy pizza sauce, pasta sauce, whatever you use red tomato sauce for, that's what I turn it into, and it's 0 points on Weight Watchers. It's 20 calories for a quarter cup, 4 carbs, and a gram of fiber, but it's just something that I always have, and I've tried so many different types of tomato sauce and I always go back to the Trader Joe's one. I don't know why, it's just always been my favorite since I started my weight loss. I just wanted to include this because we specifically have been buying this one again from the start of our weight loss and it's just been our favorite. Some ketchups do have a lot of added sugar. This one has 3 grams, but honestly it just tastes the most like regular ketchup while still being kind of low point. It's a point for a tablespoon and it's just the Trader Joe's organic ketchup, which I don't usually focus on like buying organic or anything, but like I said, we tried it and we really liked it, and for it only being 1 point, it's been a nice thing to incorporate. It's 20 calories, 5 carbs, and 4 grams of sugar for that, but I just like to use this for whatever I use ketchup for, whether it's potatoes or fries. Sometimes I randomly get that craving for ketchup on my eggs, but it's kind of rare, but when I do, this is what I use. 1 point for the serving, and I get it from Trader Joe's. Okay, the next thing that I always make sure to have on hand is some light sour cream. This one is also a point per tablespoon. The serving is 2 tablespoons for 2 points. For that, it's 35 calories, 2.5 grams of fat, 1 carb, 1 gram of sugar, and 2 grams of protein. And I really don't use sour cream that often, but when I do, it's nice to have this on hand. A lot of the times I use it to make sauces, or if I'm topping my nachos with it, my chili with it, this is the option that I have. And I honestly prefer to just buy it from the squeeze bottle because I feel like it's convenient that way. Usually I'll just put whatever I'm adding it to on my food scale and then I'll just squeeze out the serving. It's 15 grams for a tablespoon or 30 for 2. That's the way that I measure it usually, just out of this squeeze bottle. And I, like I said, use it mostly for like tacos or nachos or potatoes, stuff like that. This next one is one of my favorites. It's got a kick to it, but I really like this as a spread on sandwiches. Lately, I've had 2 options for spreads that I've really been enjoying, and this is one of them. This is the Coop's Arizona Heat Mustard. It's 0 points for the teaspoon, 10 calories. Like I said, it's got a kick to it, but it also has such good flavor. You definitely do taste the mustard because it is a mustard, but I feel like it's almost just got such like a creaminess and flavorfulness to it. I don't know, it's just one of my favorites, and mostly I just use it for like sandwiches, but it's been really good on paninis because it gets kind of warm and melty with cheese and just makes it taste so good. This is the Arizona Heat Coop's Mustard. And then another thing I've really been enjoying as a spread or sauce on sandwiches, I guess it's technically not a sauce, but I wanted to include it. It is this basil pesto hummus, and it's from the brand Boar's Head. Although I did try a brand from Walmart that had a basil pesto hummus and it was pretty similar, not as flavorful. This one is like over the top flavorful, but so good that you barely even need any. So usually I just spread it on bread as like the sauce for my sandwich. I'll add some lunch meat, some lettuce, tomatoes, and it has such good flavor, and I kind of like it heated up. What I'll do is I'll put the hummus and the meat and maybe some cheese on the bread and then pop it in the air fryer, and it's just so delicious. It's only 1 point for the serving of 2 tablespoons, and I feel like I don't even use that much when I use it on a sandwich. If I use this as like a pasta sauce, then it is more and I'll use a higher serving, but it's 60 calories for 2 tablespoons. It's got 2 grams of fiber, a gram of sugar, and a gram of protein. The brand's Boar's Head of the one I really like, but any basil pesto hummus has been really good lately. Okay, this is another thing that we always just have because sometimes we need syrup, and I realized that was like one of the first things when I started Weight Watchers that was like super high point that I never even thought twice about. Like I would have a giant portion of syrup and not realize it was like 10 or 15 points of syrup. I did want to find a lightened up version, and we did try a few different ones that had like no sugar added, and I found that those had a really artificial sweetness taste to them and I didn't really like them. They kind of had an aftertaste. Sometimes we'll incorporate them if that's all we can find, but this has actually been my favorite one lately, and it's from Aldi. So it is a little bit higher point. For 2 tablespoons, it's 4 points on Weight Watchers. Usually I try to just have a tablespoon, but for that serving, it's 50 calories and it does have 12 grams of sugar. So this is technically their light version, and it's got 50% fewer calories than original syrup. I think it has a little bit less sweetener, but some of them you can get with like 0 sugar and it's just all artificial sweetener, and I just don't really prefer those. If you have one that you guys like, leave it in the comments below. I'm curious to hear what you guys use for syrup. It still is a higher point option, like I said, but I don't have it every day, and it's something that I still like to incorporate using some points or weeklies for. This is just from Aldi. Okay, another thing from Aldi is this specific flavor, but just whipped cream and light whipped cream in general is something I like to have because it's really nice to add to different desserts. It really adds so much to it, or even like pancakes or waffles. If I want to make like a diner or restaurant breakfast at home, which we do a lot, it's nice to have this because a lot of the times they'll add some whipped cream, so it helps it to kind of taste like that. I also like to use it for ice cream and sometimes like apple nachos or my yogurt bowl. It just adds some extra creaminess and sweetness. This one specifically is a point for 2 tablespoons. It is kind of hard to measure out whipped cream. The serving is technically 6 grams, so again, you can put whatever you're adding it to on the food scale and then spray it out and see how many grams. But this is one I kind of measure with my heart, and sometimes I might go over with points. I don't even always track this one because it's one of those like mental active weeklies that I talk about. Anyway, this is a birthday cake flavor one. Sometimes the lighter ones are actually fewer points, but 1 point for the serving, and I've really been enjoying that one. This is another sauce that's a little bit on the higher side for points. It's 2 points for 1 tablespoon, and this is the Kinder's Teriyaki. I get this big bottle from Sam's Club, and it's so nice for stir fry or like sesame noodles or any of those types of meals, but I do have to be careful not to use too much because like I said, 1 tablespoon for 2 points is a little bit higher. It's 25 calories, 6 carbs, and 6 grams of sugar for that serving. I mostly just use it for those types of meals, and this has just become my favorite. I used to always buy the Panda Express teriyaki, but I had a harder time finding it, and I liked this bottle and everything and so many of the Kinder's products, so once we tried it, I just never really went back. Okay, the last sauce, which isn't technically a sauce, but I wanted to include it, is just these raspberry preserves. I'm also kind of picky about jelly when it comes to like the artificial sweeteners and stuff, and this one I actually got from Mariano's, but I found a couple other ones that I do enjoy. A while back we found one that we liked and we used it for a while, but it did kind of have that like artificial sweetener taste to it, and I feel like this one doesn't really. It is 0 points for the serving of a tablespoon, which is nice. I usually like more peanut butter than jelly if I make something like that, so I don't even really use that much jelly, but this has just become my go-to, and it's nice to have a jelly option in the fridge because sometimes I'm just really craving a PB&J. So that's all the sauces I wanted to cover. Let's go ahead and go over to my seasoning drawer behind me and I'll walk through some of them, and then I've got some extras I wanted to talk about as well. Okay, so over here, we've got my drawer of seasonings, and some of these are my most used, but some of them aren't because they just aren't the brand that mixes in with these, and I just love how this looks. We've got Weber seasonings, Kinder seasonings, Flavor God, and then Trader Joe's. But I'm just gonna quickly walk through each one and what I use them most for. Starting up here with the Weber, we've got garlic jalapeno, which actually this one's, well, maybe not halfway gone, but I've used this one a lot for chicken, for tacos, and even just like potatoes and stuff. You'll see that a lot of these I just kind of use for the same things, and I just mix them up and it changes the flavor so much. Jalapeno popper, actually this one has become one of my favorites to use for chicken salad. Adam really likes when I use it in there. It does have a really smoky taste to it and kind of got a kick, but it's got some really good flavor. Then actually these three kind of go together. So all of these I use mostly for like turkey burgers or burgers. I've got gourmet burger, flavor bomb burger, and all-purpose cookout, which I think my most used and repurchased is definitely flavor bomb. I really like this one. All three of them work really well for chicken or specifically burgers. Okay, this one is another one that I've gone through, and actually I've gotten like the big tub of it as well. This is their honey garlic, and it is so delicious on shrimp. It's also really good on salmon. I feel like that's what I use it most for, is different seafood, but this is one of my all-time favorite from Weber. I also like their their hot honey, which I don't use as frequently, but sometimes it is nice for like chicken or shrimp as well. And then this is definitely my most used Weber seasoning. It's their roasted garlic and herb that has such a good garlic flavor to it. It works well with everything. I mix it in so many different recipes. I use it for burgers, for meatballs, for chicken, potatoes, pasta, all that stuff. This is definitely my most used. I've gone through a bunch of these and just adds such good garlicky flavor, and it's so quick and easy to add it into dishes. Okay, so then moving on to Kinders, and I think all the Weber ones I got from Sam's Club, and same with the Kinders. They have such a good selection there. Over here we've got Buttery Steakhouse, which I use a lot for potatoes and vegetables. It's got a nice buttery flavor to it. Also works well with like a mix of a couple on like salmon. This one I love, but I don't always have uses for it, but it's just a Kinder's French onion with toasted onion and sea salt. It's got such a good flavor of like kind of like French onion soup. Again, I use it for potatoes. Sometimes I'll even add it to like burgers or meatballs, but I really like the flavor of this one. This is a newer one that I got, and I've actually been using it a lot. I, again, use it for like meatballs or chicken burgers, or even just like pasta. Sometimes I'll cook up a pound of like ground chicken and I'll add a good amount of this with some veggies, pasta, and a sauce, and it really does season it well. It's kind of got a sweetness to it though, and I'm guessing it's the sweet peppers. Okay, this one I use a lot for burgers and chicken. It's just Butcher's all-purpose. Not as often, I feel like, but it's a nice one to have kind of mixed with those. Like I said, sometimes I'll do like a couple different ones together just to add more flavor. And then this is definitely my most repurchased. I have a theme with just using a lot of garlic seasonings because they just add such good flavor and go with so many things. But this is the Kinder's Garlic Parmesan. So good with pasta. Also really good when making like meatballs and different stuff like that. Okay, then moving on to Flavor God, which I feel like these have a little bit of a lighter flavor than these. So sometimes I end up adding a little bit more, but the one that I use a lot is the Garlic Lovers. I really just like it for everything that I've already mentioned that I add any of the garlic seasonings to, specifically pasta. They've got this everything seasoning that is also kind of like the all-purpose cookout. Like it just goes with a lot of different things, and they have a spicy version as well, but I always end up using the everything, just the regular one more. I've got this pizza seasoning. So this is one that works well when I'm flavoring the tomato sauce. Same with a lot of like the garlic ones. I use those for sauces like the tomato sauce I mentioned before. But this works well anytime I'm making a pizza recipe. Sometimes I'll even like top a calzone with this or something to just add extra pizza flavor. Same with this Italian zest. It's actually pretty similar to that one. So I'll use it as a topper or just mixed into like meatballs, pasta sauce, all that stuff. Then this is a sweet seasoning. So this is the Flavor God Buttery Cinnamon Roll. I love this one as a topper for French toast, muffins, anything that I want to add some like cinnamon sugar to. This has really good flavor and it's a perfect topper for that. Okay, then moving into the Trader Joe's seasonings. These ones are basic, but I use them so often. They're just their garlic powder and onion salt. And I really just love the packaging of these and the bottles that they come in. I've got the cheesy seasoning blend, which works really well with eggs. I feel like that's what I use it for the most. It also says for popcorn, vegetables, and pasta. And this one, the lid broke on, so I have to be careful. Okay, another pizza seasoning. So similar to the Flavor God seasoning, I like to use it for pizza sauce, pasta sauce. It just adds a nice pizza seasoning to it. Okay, this is just the classic Trader Joe's pumpkin pie spice. I use this for different recipes, specifically in the fall. I've got this barbecue 101 seasoning, which I don't use that often, but sometimes I'll use it for chicken or for burgers. I feel like more so for burgers. This ranch seasoning works really well for anything that I want some ranch flavor added to, but specifically I like to use it in chicken salad. And actually, same with the Green Goddess seasoning. I find that both of these add really good flavor to chicken salad, so that's what I use these ones for the most. And we've got this 21 seasoning salute. This is just kind of like an all-purpose seasoning I like to use on vegetables and potatoes. Then we've got the everything but the elote seasoning blend. So sometimes we'll just add this to corn to make it like a bowl of elote style corn. I feel like that's probably what we use it for the most. Sometimes it's also good sprinkled on popcorn though. And then the last Trader Joe's, this is their everything but the bagel seasoning. This is what I use as a topper when I make 2-ingredient dough bagels, and it just adds the perfect flavor. Okay, then moving on, I just wanted to include some honorable mentions. So actually I've got a couple more Kinder seasonings here that I like to use. This one is Adam's favorite. It is their buffalo dip and seasoning mix. Sometimes if I'm making like a buffalo flavored chicken salad, buffalo wraps, or even just like buffalo chicken to put on pasta, I'll add a little bit of this seasoning and it adds some good flavor. It also works well mixed with Greek yogurt to turn into like a dip or a sauce. Actually on here they say to use sour cream, but I feel like it works just as well with Greek yogurt. Okay, and then these are some of the newer ones that I've gotten that I don't use as often. This is their chili cheese sauce. I've actually been using it more to make a pasta cheesy sauce sometimes. I'll do like a mac and cheese and add a little bit of this to it and whisk it in. And it adds some good like chili cheddar flavor. And then this one actually I've been really enjoying on popcorn because it kind of reminds me of like the honey mustard seasoning on pretzels. So it's just the Kinder's honey mustard seasoning. It's also really good with chicken, but I think I've been using it more so just for like snacky things. Then these are two just kind of like all-purpose seasoning mixes. I think I found these both at Walmart. This one is just crushed red pepper, oregano, and garlic. So just a good combination that's easy to add to pasta sauces, or sometimes I'll even sprinkle it on top of a pizza to add some extra flavor. This is another one of those that is an all-purpose seasoning. It's garlic, onion, black pepper, and sea salt. Very basic, but it's kind of like a combination of the ones I'm about to show, but it's convenient and it works well adding it to like burgers, vegetables, potatoes, all that stuff. So then some of those that I'm talking about, I got these from Aldi, but they're just nice to have because they really do add good flavor to some basic dishes. And a lot of the time, it's all that you really need is some of these. This is the garlic salt with parsley from Aldi. I made a joke about this before because I had seen a Facebook post about this being like the best item from Aldi and I was so confused. But then I got it and tried it and it is so good. I can't even explain what's so good about it. It works really well as a topper when I do like 2-ingredient dough things, like even like bagel dogs or something, or pizza puffs, but it's also just really nice mixed into things. It's really, really salty and that's what I like about it, but it's just something that I've already repurchased a bunch ever since I saw that Facebook post. Then I also just get some onion powder, which is nice to add into meals, also minced onion. And then cumin is another one that I just got this big one from Sam's Club because I use it so often. Sometimes if I'm making like a taco dish and I'm already using taco seasoning in the meat, I like to sometimes add some extra taco flavor to the vegetables I'm adding if it's like a corn and bean mix. So that's when I use some cumin and then some of the other stuff I showed, like the onion powder, the garlic salt. And then sometimes I also just get this, which is just like a regular taco seasoning. This actually isn't the specific brand I like to use. I like the Taco Bell one, which is actually these packets. This is what I use when I cook meat, but then sometimes I need some extra seasoning, so I'll just use some of this. Oh, I missed another Kinder's. This is a small one, but this is their seafood blend that I really like to use for pretty much seafood. Sometimes it's good in tuna salad, but I usually just use it on like salmon and shrimp. Some more flavor packets. So these are what I like to use to marinate my chicken in. This one is mesquite and zesty herb. I also really like the honey sriracha, I think it is. They've got a few good options that I really like. So I just put the chicken in a bag with a little oil and water and I let it sit in the fridge and then I grill it up and it's super juicy, super flavorful. This is a random one. I feel like I had gotten at Sam's Club, but it is a Girl Scout seasoning and it's Girl Scout s'mores. So this works really well for sweet things like yogurt bowls, pancakes, even like creamy ice creams I've used it for. It also says it's good in brownies, oatmeal, coffee, hot cocoa. I haven't used it that often, but it is a nice sweet seasoning I've enjoyed. I got this from Aldi, so it's like the Trader Joe's Everything Bagel seasoning, but it's spicy and it's got a slight jalapeno flavor to it, which I really enjoy actually. I'm picky about what I like spicy, but this is like the perfect amount, especially on bagels and stuff. That's from Aldi. And then this last one was actually sent to me by a follower. She made me pot holders that I still use every single day. And also this sensational onion and herb seasoning that I'm surprised that it's as high as it is. I feel like I use this so often and it still lasted me, but this is one of those classic ones that I like to just mix into different pastas, sauces, chicken salad, tuna salad, whatever I need, just like a basic seasoning. This works really, really well and adds really good flavor. Okay, I feel like that was a lot of talking today, but lots of sauces and seasonings that I've incorporated in my journey to help me stay on track without overdoing it with points and just still achieving my goals. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.